Welcome everyone to the second session of this wonderful book of Neville's, Your Faith is Your Fortune. And today we are on chapter 3, the principle of truth. So I'm going to read a bit, see what he's up to in this chapter. The principle of truth. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. John 8:32. The truth that sets man free is the knowledge that his consciousness is the resurrection and the life. That his consciousness both resurrects and makes alive all that he is conscious of being. Apart from consciousness, there is neither resurrection nor life. When man gives up his belief in a God apart from himself and begins to recognize his awareness of being to be God, as did Jesus and the prophets, he will transform his world with the realization, I and my Father are one. John 10:30. But my Father is greater than I. John 14:28. He will know that his consciousness is God, and that which he is conscious of being is the Son bearing witness of God the Father. The conceiver and the conception are one, but the conceiver is greater than his conception. Before Abraham was I am. Yes, I was aware of being before I became aware of being man, and in that day when I shall cease to be conscious of being man, I shall still be conscious of being. The consciousness of being is not dependent upon being anything. The consciousness of being is not dependent upon being anything. It preceded all conceptions of itself and shall be when all conceptions of itself shall cease to be. I am the beginning, I am the end. That is, all things or conceptions of myself begin and end in me, but I, the formless awareness, remain forever. So, Jesus discovered this glorious truth and declared himself to be one with God, not the God that man had fashioned, for he never recognizes such a God. Jesus found God to be his awareness of being, and so told man that the kingdom of God and heaven were within. Luke 17:21-23. So, in a nutshell, okay, when we are in a state of suffering and we are in turmoil, in anguish, in perhaps anxiety or fear about certain things, it is that we are unable to remember the knowledge that is basically our software that we are born with, and we spend our lives unfolding, learning, so that we can free ourselves from suffering. Firstly, it has to come with the knowledge, and then the knowledge needs to be applied. Okay, so when we can remember that we are, some people don't really like I am God. I have heard, especially perhaps people that have grown up with religion, in my experience, saying I am God sounds arrogant. It sounds like you are thinking perhaps too highly of yourself. I do think in the way that Neville has explained it over the 30 years of reading him, I would say it is not coming from that place of arrogance. It is coming from a place of that the God within me, I am a piece of God. When he says, I and my Father are one, but my Father is greater than me, it is God is all-knowing, and we are, through being in a physical body, a human body, learning to get back to the place where we know what it is and how things are going, so that we can be in a state of relaxedness, calmness, more peacefulness, and that we get to the place where we dissolve things within ourselves because of that knowledge. And then we suffer a lot less. So, continuing on. Jesus discovered this glorious truth and declared himself to be one with God, not the God that man had fashioned. I'm reading this again because this is important. For he never recognized such a God. Jesus found God to be his awareness of being, and so told man that the kingdom of God and heaven were within. Luke 17, 21, 23. So if we understand that we've got everything within us, then we spend more time in contemplation, asking for guidance, listening, and being in a more receptive state. Okay? I do think as human beings, and this is, I will say, people around the world, because I do hear people all around the world, that we have a collective consciousness of needing to be heard. And I understand that. That's okay, especially if you're going to someone for help, counseling, a therapist, and all of that, and you need some assistance. But as you spiritually evolve and move forward, it's getting to the place where you might sit and ask for guidance from within, and then develop your ability to trust your intuition. And that is a lifelong journey. It's a lifelong journey. And it's a beautiful journey. And it is a journey that we all go on, even though we have each other, even though we connect in different ways, like today within this group. The journey is still one that you travel alone, because when you're by yourself, when you're going to sleep, when you're waking up in the morning, when you wake up in the middle of the night, there is only you. And the only person that will, the person, that's not quite the right word, the presence that will hear you, the power that will hear you, is there constantly for you if you are willing to take the time to listen and hear. So as we read Neville, it is about, okay, am I someone who runs out and talks to people too much about my problems? Am I someone who perhaps holds things in for too long and doesn't speak to anyone? Which am I? And is what I am doing beneficial to me? Or is this something that I could look at within myself and perhaps say, okay, you know what? I do talk too much to people about my problems because I'm looking for external answers. And sometimes you're very, very fortunate to have people around you that can be of guidance and assistance, because they have themselves worked out things that you feel when you talk to them, that they have a certain amount of knowledge about certain things. And that's fine. You know, we all, I think, need at least one good person to talk to. And having that's great. But over the lifetime of a person, developing that amazing connection with Source or God, and making that where we go for answers. So you get clear, obvious, unmistakable messages, and you get better at developing that skill. When it is recorded that Jesus left the world and went to his Father, he was received up into heaven, Mark 16:19, Luke 24:51. It is simply stated that he turned his attention from the world of the senses and rose in consciousness to that level which he desired to express. There he remained until he became one with the consciousness to which he ascended. When he returned to the world of man, He could act with the positive assurance of that which he was conscious of being. A state of consciousness no one but himself felt or knew that he possessed. Man who is ignorant of this everlasting law of expression looks upon such happenings as miracles. To rise in consciousness to the level of the thing desired and to remain there until such a level becomes your nature is the way of all seeming miracles. So Neville talks a lot about states, and he pretty much mentions them in all of his books. The state of consciousness, the state of wealth, the state of love, the state of health. Whatever it is that you're going through, you are shifting. If you want to get a better experience and to have a better experience, you're shifting from the old man, as he says, to the new man, the one that has the consciousness that matches the thing desired. Okay, so you're rising up. You're letting go of the hard, heavy, disturbed, anxious, stressful, depressed, hurt, any of those emotions, and you're moving up to higher levels of feeling relaxed, joyful, calm, and knowing that the state of having the health, the money, the person, whatever it is within you. Change the inside, the outside changes. And so much of our planet is looking to change the outside to feel good on the inside. And we, through Neville and other wonderful teachers, know that that's not the way to go, because many have tried that and have ended up in a lot of stress and difficulty because it hasn't worked. So you're learning to rise in consciousness to the level of the thing desired. And your journey is letting go of those other emotions, the ones that cause you the suffering and the anguish. Okay? To rise in consciousness to the level of the thing desired and to remain there until such level becomes your nature is the way of all seeming miracles. And I, if I be lifted up, I shall draw all men unto me. And I would say, not just all men, I would say, whatever it is you desire. If it's something, it will come to you. If it's someone, it will come to you. If it's money, it will come to you. So the shift has to be in the consciousness first. If I be lifted up in consciousness to the naturalness of the thing desired, I shall draw the manifestation of that desire to me. So the game is not between you and the thing you desire. The game is between you and the whole bag of negative thoughts you have about that subject, and learning to slowly toss those out of the bag till you get to the point where you are no longer tortured, suffering, or tormented by, I haven't got, I haven't got, I haven't got, I haven't got. Okay? No man comes unto me save the Father within me draws him. John 6:44. And I and the Father are one. John 10:30. My consciousness is the Father who draws the manifestation of life to me. I'm going to read that again. My consciousness, what I'm conscious of, what I'm thinking of, is the Father who draws the manifestation of life to me. So where my consciousness is, where my thoughts are, where my beliefs are, is what is drawing whatever it is to me at the moment. So whatever you've got going on now, you can say to yourself, okay, where is my consciousness? What am I conscious of on this topic at the moment? And that will give me it will turn a fuzzy target into a clear target as to what I need to work on. First, you have to identify what it is that you are thinking, feeling, and believing about that thing over there, whatever it is. The nature of the manifestation is determined by the state of consciousness in which I dwell. I am always drawing into my world that which I am conscious of being. If you are dissatisfied with your present expression of life, then you must be born again. John 3:7. Rebirth is the dropping of that level with which you are dissatisfied and rising to that level of consciousness which you desire to express and possess. Okay, I'm going to read that again because this is a really, really important Neville nugget. So it's dropping that level of which you are dissatisfied. So when you've got that, I'm dissatisfied, I'm not getting enough, I want more, I'm not getting enough, I want more. That dissatisfaction, that part of you is the old man. That's the thing you got to drop, because you can't be in that and then attract what you want. Dissatisfaction is a handbrake. I'm not getting enough is a handbrake. I want more is a handbrake. Okay? Now, you could say, well, how am I ever going to manifest anything? Because I do desire things. But it's desiring and surrendering and letting it go and imagining the end desired. And then you drop it and get on with whatever else you have to do so that you are free from the handbrakes, the dissatisfaction, not getting enough and wanting more. Okay? You cannot serve two masters, Matthew 6:24 and Luke 16:13, or opposing states of consciousness at the same time. I'm going to say that again. You cannot serve two masters or opposing states of consciousness. You can't be in I'm poor, I'm sick, I'm unloved, and attract love, money, or anything else that you desire. You cannot. It's magnets that pull in, magnets that repel. Okay? So the shift and the practice is internal. Taking your attention from one state and placing it upon the other, you die to the one from which you have taken it, and you live and express the one from which you are united. Man cannot see how it would be possible to express that which he desires to be by so simple a law as acquiring the consciousness of the thing desired. The reason for this lack of faith on the part of man is that he looks at the desired state through the consciousness of his present limitations. Therefore, he naturally sees it as impossible of accomplishment. So yeah, if you're looking towards having money, but you're looking through the lens of, I don't have any, and I feel stressed and anguish about what's going on in my finances, then you can't get past your present limitation. There has to be where you feel free. And I mean, you might not be able to feel wealthy, but you can generate the feeling of freedom, because there will be times in your life where you do feel free, and you can practice, I am free, I am free, I'm free, because people that have money can do what they want when they want, and that is equivalent to the state of freedom. One of the first things man must realize is that it is impossible in dealing with this spiritual law of consciousness to put new wine in old bottles or new patches on old garments. Matthew 9:16, 17, Mark 2:21, 22, Luke 5:36, 39. That is, you cannot take any part of the present consciousness into the new state. I'm going to read that bit again. You can't take any part of the present consciousness that you're currently in, or poverty, fear, sickness, unlovedness, inadequacy, and even I'm not getting enough, I want more. You cannot take that towards the thing you want and have the thing you want come to you. You have to drop those and leave them at the door. I love how he said you cannot put new wine in old bottles or new patches on old garments. It doesn't work. So, for the state sought is complete in itself and needs no patching. Every level of consciousness automatically expresses itself. To rise to the level of any state is to automatically become that state in expression. But in order to rise to the level that you are not now expressing, you must completely drop the consciousness within which you are now identified. Until your present consciousness is dropped, you will not be able to rise to another level. Do not be dismayed. This letting go of your present identity is not as difficult as it may appear to be. The invitation of the scriptures to be absent from the body and be present with the Lord, 2 Corinthians 5:8, Corinthians 5:3, Colossians 2:5, is not given to a select few. It is a sweeping call to all of mankind. The body from which you are invited to escape is your present conception of yourself with all of its limitations, while the Lord with whom you are to be present is your awareness of being. Okay, so what's great is this isn't just something for a few people and the rest of us are left out. This is available to us all. But it requires using the mind to let go of the states we're in. And the state is a feeling place. The feeling of poverty, the feeling of unlovedness, the feeling of sickness all feels very real when we are in it. Or being trapped in a job that we don't like and feeling the feeling of trappedness. All these things affect us all at different times, not all of them, of course, but in a lifetime we will experience the feeling of being trapped in whatever circumstances we're in. And if you have a mind that knows how to focus, you can use your mind to focus your way out. And that's why this is exciting, because you're not stuck forever. Okay? Now, to accomplish this seemingly impossible feat, you take your attention away from your problem and place it upon just being. Okay, this is the nugget. This is the formula. This is where he talks about how to do it. I'm going to read that again. To accomplish this seemingly impossible feat, you take your attention away from your problem. You got to stop talking about the problem. You've got to stop focusing on the problem, and you got to stop having the big emotional wave about the problem and place it upon just being. You silently but feelingly say, I am. So I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am loved or love. Do not condition this awareness, but continue declaring quietly, I am, I am, I am. Simply feel that you are faceless and formless and continue doing it so until you feel yourself floating. Floating is a psychological state which completely denies the physical. Through practice in relaxation and willfully refusing to react to the sensory impressions, it is possible to develop a state of consciousness of pure receptivity. It is a surprisingly easy accomplishment. So, in this little paragraph here, he tells you how to do it. I'm going to read it again because this is something that I think, rather than doing a whole bunch of YouTubes on how to manifest stuff and how to get stuff, this is the golden egg. And if you can spend time doing what he says here, This is profoundly amazing, and it can have an incredible impact on whatever you've got in front of you, and it can change many, many, many disturbing aspects of your life. So I'm going to go over it. You take your attention away from your problem. Now, I think doing this with eyes closed is easier because then you don't get distracted by what's going across your vision. You take your attention away from your problem and you place it upon just being. Being here now, where you're sitting, what you are doing. And you stop everything. And you silently but feelingly practice I am. And you don't condition this awareness, but continue declaring I am. I am, I am. Simply feel that you are faceless and formless and continue doing so until you feel yourself floating. Floating is a psychological state which completely denies the physical. Through practice in relaxation and willfully refusing to react to the sensory impressions, it is possible to develop a state of consciousness of pure receptivity. So you're letting go of all your negative emotions if you focus your mind on doing this. Okay, it's a complete state of detachment, a definite singleness of purposeful thought, and can be indelibly engraved upon your unmodified consciousness. This state of consciousness is necessary for true meditation. This wonderful experience of rising and floating is the signal, that you are absent from the body or the problem and are now present with the Lord. In this expanded state, you are not conscious of being anything, but I am. I am. You are only conscious of being. When this expansion of consciousness is attained, within this formless deep of yourself, give form to the new conception by claiming and feeling yourself to be that which you, before you entered this state, desired to be. You will find that within this formless deep of yourself, all things appear to be divinely possible. Anything that you sincerely feel yourself to be while in this expanded state becomes in time your natural expression. Okay, I'm going to take a question now.
Hi, Agnes. Hi, everyone. It's Akbar again.
Yes,
my
Akbar.
question
I thought it was you, but I wasn't going to, I didn't want to say it in case you didn't want to say your name.
Yeah. My question is, regarding this. If you say you're free, but
Yes.
for some reason you don't know how to feel free inside, because you could have been in a dysfunctional family setting where you never really knew how to trust your feelings or talk about your feelings or express your feelings.
Yeah.
How would one approach it? And that's what my question is.
Good question. Okay, let me ask you, is there a time in your life where you remember feeling free? Like you might have been on a ride, you might have been at the beach.
When I went abroad, I feel free because that what you know that you've got a certain period of time you're going to be there, so you plan your day as to fill the day up with what you want to do or what you want to see or what you want to participate in. So those things are I felt free.
Okay.
But then you kind of like, sometimes as time was going by, I was not feeling free because I had to come back here, that kind of thing.
Okay, so good example, using that, if you were going to practice what Neville said to change your state of consciousness, to say it's to do with money or just not feeling trapped. It doesn't matter if it's related to money or not. I mean, money is a big part of feeling free, but you can feel free and not have money just by doing what he's saying. So if you go into, okay, I'm going to do 15, 20 minutes a day. I'm going to do it in the morning or the evening, depending on, which end of the day you've got more time. And then what you do is you go, okay, I'm going to say, I am free. And I'm going to go in my mind back to my travel catalog of where I was, who I was with, what we were doing, and I'm going to replay that. And I'm going to remember and recall the emotions I had when I was on that 2 weeks or 1 week away or whatever it was. So you actually transport yourself, you're here in the present, you transport yourself back into the past, but then you're dragging that past back into the present so that it then goes forward and affects the future.
Right. But
so you're reinfecting.
If it's like buried, sorry, Agnes. If it's buried memories, for example, that feeling state of being free was like a while ago, and you forgot how you felt. Does it take time for that feeling to come up to the surface?
Okay, give me an example. How long ago was it?
Right. So let's say it was, I don't know, at the moment it's probably 16 years ago.
Okay. Long time. And can you give me a country just so I get a bit of a parameter?
It was Tokyo, Japan.
Okay. So Tokyo, Japan, 16 years ago. Have you got photographs?
I have, yes. But it's digital at the moment. Yeah.
The digital photos from that time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if they're digital or physical, because what you can do is spend 15 minutes going through and accessing those photos, and then remember being there use the photographs as the doorway in. Okay. So you're going to do the little bit of helping your state of being. You're going to assist it by using what you've got about Tokyo 16 years ago. So you use the photographs, you go through them. I mean, you might look at a photograph of some food you took and you were having, okay, let me ask you, did you go alone or with someone?
I went by, I met a friend there, but yeah, okay. I went by myself, yes.
Okay. So you would have some photographs alone, some photographs with this person. So you go, okay, let me go through and look at the photos of me on my own and also me with this person, and let me see if certain photographs evoke an emotion. So some might not evoke much at all. Others might be like, wow, I so remember that going to that place and I really want to go back there. So you're using what you've got on hand. Sometimes you can't just pull something from your imagination because it was a while ago.
Yeah, that's what my question was.
Yeah. So use what you've got. And did you buy anything there? Is there anything?
Oh yeah, I did. Just like I think gifts for family and just like toys, not toy stuff, but like stuff that you can sort of remember your trip there. So like, I don't know, some sort of what they call the snow globe type stuff.
Nice. Okay. I would try, maybe sit down at a table with the photographs, digital or real, and also bring out those things that you bought when you were there. The idea is to rekindle remembering, where did I buy the snow globe? Where did I go when I took the photo with my friend? You're reactivating the senses. So I would start with that. And then once you've done that for 15 minutes, then I would go in and do this exercise.
Right. Okay.
Use the key that unlocks the door, and you've got already a few things that can do that. So try and do it to make it easier for yourself rather than plucking things out of the air from 16 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I was sort of struggling with. Not struggling with, but thinking, how would I say, look, I want to be free.
Yes.
or look for freedom, but not know how to find it.
Yes, I know. And it's tricky. I mean, I remember trying to say I am wealthy, I am rich, and I remember thinking that doesn't mean anything to me. I've
Yeah,
never
yeah.
been rich and wealthy. Like, I don't know what that feels like. I can say the words, but I don't know what that feels like. So at the time, those, and I appreciate a prosperity and abundance. A whole pile of prosperity and a whole pile of abundance was a completely fuzzy gray image to me. It meant zero. So it's using what you can. And I used to just go on for walks on the beach and say, I am free, I am free, I'm free. That was the easiest way for me to attract money and to feel free, was doing that, because I knew what it
Right.
felt like to be free on a weekend.
I think Jim Carrey said that he went to Hollywood, that see the Hollywood sign, didn't he? To say,
Yes.
look, I'm
Yeah.
gonna have 10
Yeah.
million pounds, $10 million.
That's right.
Movie.
So it's whatever, ask your intuition. Is there anything else I can do to activate this feeling, and see if anything comes up? But I would start with those two things, because you've obviously got some physical things you can put your hands on.
Right. Okay.
Mm,
So I've got
mm.
to get into that feeling state. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
that's
Thanks.
okay. Good question. Laszlo.
Like it's okay to try to use I am a god, what Neville says, try to use it to becoming above anything that bothers you or anything that makes you feel down or anything you admire. It's okay to try to do it because as I said, that I consider the key to do it, to be above that, becoming a god.
Well, becoming God, becoming a God is probably slightly different, even though it's just a little pronoun or a little word there. It's not, there's a difference between becoming a God and becoming God. God is within us. Becoming a God, it can be slightly different, as in it's an external thing. So I am God is different to I am a God. It sounds like I'm splitting hairs, but one is the presence within. The other one can be being on a pedestal. So think of it as, even when you are God, it doesn't mean that you don't feel anything and you rise above everything. I don't think that we can't get there eventually, but I do think that while we are in human form, things affect us, people, situations, global things, our families, our friends, our workplaces, our circumstances. I do think practicing I am God and remembering that we come from the bigger source, I think that can help us to, over time, get into a state of much less suffering.
I mean, like when I said I am a god, like I mean, like becoming my own type of god, like my own type of, deity or my own sense, my own power, my own reach and everything is, you know what I'm saying, right? I no longer be below anything or anybody and always be above it or maybe on the same league, like with God itself. You know what I mean, right? And to be
Yeah.
defined.
And Laszlo, the reason I answered the question, for anyone that's listening to this and wondering why I'm going where I'm going with this, you and I have had dozens of conversations about this. So I'm taking our previous conversations into account. And I know that when you feel victimized and put upon, and you've been on the receiving end of a lot of not so pleasant stuff, that the desire to break free from that and to rise up into a more powerful state is incredibly important. And I understand that. So, yes, I think practicing I am God and then becoming more, let's say, secure, balanced, grounded within yourself. But I'm not saying, Laszlo, don't ever have any emotions, because, when stuff's happened in childhood, in teenagerhood, and in adulthood, and then you throw on top of it all the global stuff that we've endured in the last however long, we've all know what I'm talking about. There's been a lot of stuff that these things can impact our feeling of security, freedom, and also, we can definitely have feelings of being victimized. So it's progress, not perfection, let's say, Laszlo. You work on I am God, or I am, if you just want to do I am, and you build up that within yourself, and then that fortifies you from the stuff out there. Not perfectly, but definitely it gets better and better over time.
When you see, like, powerful people, you see these franchises or games or movies or something being extremely successful, sometimes you just wish to be like part of it or enjoy that. You know what I mean, right? It's okay, right?
Yeah, it's okay to want success or to feel a sense of internal power, of course. There's nothing wrong with those things, especially if you're feeling the opposite of those things. So yeah, it's working on changing, like we were just reading in the book, changing the state from the problem state to the solution state, and getting into the place mentally and emotionally, practicing it, so that those conditions fall away from you. It's developing your inner power. That's the thing. It's the inner power that you develop through using your mind, which then levels out and regulates your emotions so that you are able to be not in control of out there. Because if you keep focusing your time trying to get control out there, it is a endless, it will never stop. You will continually look to get control on the outside. Once you realize I can't control the outside, I can influence the outside if I learn to control and regulate my own self, then I have power. The lesson is to see what situations out there bring up in you, and then learn what you have to let go of, correct in your thinking, let go of in your belief system, and then get into a place of surrender and letting go after you've done your imagining and after you have balanced yourself. All of this is self-regulation. You regulate your own self through your mind, and then your emotions calm down. It's like you're learning to regulate your emotional state. The will is exhausting if you go at things that way. Yes, there have been so many situations and examples of people in history that have used their will, especially for not very good purposes. So
Yes.
it's really about, okay, that's what they're doing. Now, I would like to have my energy, my peace of mind, because a lot of those dictators and examples of people like that, they are, my way is the way, and they're going to force and enforce by controlling other people. And, in the end, is that who you want to be? There has to be a thought about the action versus the state. The state of being gets you much further than just the action. There's a lot of people that just do things from the action figure place, and I think a lot of us have done that until we learn that we get burnt out, we get exhausted, and we run out of energy. So it depends on, you have to try it out in different ways and see what works. I mean, I would have been an action figure in my 20s and in my 30s. It's like, well, I'll do it. I'll make it happen. I'll follow up. I'll do this. I'll do that. But in the end, I burnt myself out from pushing, forcing, trying to make things happen. There's a much easier way, and that is change your state and then take inspired action, and then things fall into place much more easily. Laszlo, what have I said to you for 5 years?
Living in the end.
You must work on your self-love, and you must work on changing your state. It's that simple. I don't say really anything different, but you've heard it, but you haven't taken it in. And I understand that. We need to hear through repetition. There is a point where you need to do those two things. You don't have to just do meditations, affirmations, scripting. You must stop the criticism and the judgment about the self. That is one of the biggest self-loving things you can do. Okay. Wendy.
Hi,
Hello, Wendy.
Good to hear your voice. I recently came across your YouTube, and thank you. I have been going through all the stuff that you have been teaching. I have one question. I started applying the self-love meditations that you have it on YouTube, and you said in one of your several of your interviews that you always take counter app and say, I am love, I am love, I am love 1,000 times or more. I started doing morning walk and evening walk 2,000 times a day, and I want to make yourself so proud. So I will come up with the coaching soon with you with success story, because before success story, I want to have a coaching because I'm expecting something. But the feeling state when I'm saying I love, I'm 47 years old. I have never been in a love at all. I did not know what is love, and it was hard for me. I was a go-getter. Linus was the person who you interviewed 6 years back. She was a go-getter and get everything in life. My life, I have used the law, but without knowing it. Now I am in love, but I can't keep that love feeling every day. I'm trying hardly, one day I could get the feeling bumped on my body and everything. Oh, this is what I want. But the next day it just goes down. I'm taking all the castor oil thing that you posted on your staff, and I'm taking all the supplements that you have mentioned, and I'm also reading all the books that you posted on your website. I finished 300 books already, reading all of this. I've been going through from your channel. It's like it's my breathing right now. Your channel is, but I can't keep that that feeling state all the time. Even though you mentioned for one of our question here, you could bring the old memory and get into the feeling. I can't. I try my level best to bring my dog sometime and keep that feeling going and going and going, and no, I couldn't get it. And also I want to point out one thing. Law of attraction, another name is law of love. Charles Hannell book, he said that in small letters, law of attraction or law of love. That's it. That's the end of the world is love. Love is, without love, nothing is impossible in this world. And we came from love, and we have to have that love feeling and being. And I have been doing your meditation for a day, 3 hours.
Okay, let me ask you a few questions. I mean, firstly, wow, 300 books, that's pretty good. And doing your 2 walks with 1,000 affirmations, you're very...
Not 2,000 affirmations a day.
Yeah,
morning
you're very
1 hour,
focused.
evening 1 hour.
Yeah.
Yes, and I get up and I do progressive muscle relaxation, because you said that to relax the body, as mentioned in this Faith in the Fortune book, and I do 20 minutes of progressive muscle relaxation. You said in one of your videos that yoga is best, so I joined yoga and I started doing all the yoga poses, and I started doing breath work as the meditation, because Charles Hannell book, he mentioned breath is life. And here also in this chapter, Faith in Fortune, that is the 20th chapter that Neville talks about breath. Breath is the life, and that is what I understand. All these concepts, I ruminate all these things. I sleep well, and I started doing all these things, and I don't expect any changes in my reality. But at the same, only thing I want is I want the feeling state. How do I bring this feeling?
Okay, Wendy, stop for a sec. How long have you been doing it?
I started slowly from past 2.5 years.
Okay, let me ask you this. How long did you not do it for?
I know, I did not do it.
40 years of not doing it.
Not doing it. Not doing it.
So give yourself time. And Wendy, I've been doing this for 30 years. I don't always feel the loving state. I don't have it all day sometimes. I don't.
Oh.
Progress, not perfection. Am I in a loving state more than I used to be? Yes. Am I able to hold it for longer periods of time? Yes. Do I get annoyed by certain people? Yes. I'm not in a perfect state of love all the time. I do my best, but I'm human, and I accept that things are going to sometimes affect me mentally, emotionally, people, situations, what's going on in certain countries. We are human. We have anger, worry, hurt, pain. We have stuff, but it's not about it never happening anymore. It's just getting back to it when you lose it. Progress, not perfection.
Oh, okay. Then that is what that gives
Yeah.
satisfaction. And, every morning I get up and I try to boost my serotonin and dopamine, endorphin, and oxytocin. I don't know. I put all these frequency music and I try myself with all these things. But thank you for that. And thank you for your wonderful work. And I have been religiously taking all your advice and trying to implement it. Not only I want to be the doer and come with a proud moment for yourself, stating that I will give you an interview and I will tell you my success story, and you will be proud of me, what I have done. And I want to make yourself proud of yourself with whatever the words. You're like my dear, and I breathe your affirmations 3 hours a day.
You're doing very well, all of you. It's just saying to yourself, I'm doing my best, and not, I've just got to close everything because it's getting cold here.
And your interview with Marvin, that EFT tapping, was awesome, because that is what helps really with that EFT tapping. I wish I should have known all these channels and all these things before. And I came out of all the friends. I'm in my own world, morning to evening, and doing all these things. And you mentioned about Catherine Ponder book, and I bought that book, and I bought the original copy, and I got all the books that you mentioned it in your Florence Shawelson book, and all the books. And it's lying next to me always.
Good for you. You know what? If you feel inspired, if you feel you're learning, if you feel like you're learning to change your mind, it's wonderful. It's such a wonderful thing and a wonderful time when you start doing things that just ignite your interest, your learning. And then it's saying, okay, all the learning, now I'm going to apply it. But yeah, 2.5 years is great, Wendy. It's just, just give yourself a break and say, I'm doing my best, and things will change, and I will get better at the state of love over time, It's okay.
No, I don't tell me that 2.5 years. I started the spark in 2.5 years when the relationship got worsened. Okay. Yes. And then I went into a wrong route. I did not know. Get that neediness, that wantingness. Oh, that crappy feeling. What is the heck I have been? But I have always have a lot of self-respect with me. I don't overdo. I don't do nasty stuff for other people. And I don't like anyone to hurt my power within me. I'm a very strong self-respect person from the beginning. And I never ruined that emotional torture. No. I was suffocated myself, and I wanted to come out. I feel good. I really, and then 6 months back only, I honestly fell into your channel. And 6 months back only, I was mentioned, religiously took your channel as my guidance, and then started going through all your interviews. Daily 1 hour I listen to all of your interviews that you have posted, and daily 1-2 hours I listen your I love you, the YouTube. I think I have finished all of that 1,000 videos, I think, in past 6 months. And I took all your advice, and each and every one I'm applying it. That feeling state is what it's nasty. I know I'm really torturing myself, I think, to bring into that feel, bring into the feel.
Wendy, don't worry. We all torture ourselves with our state of what we're in. And you know what? That's the humbling experience, is we all do
I have the solid knowing. I know God is within me, and I have the power of God, and I know I can get it. See, I know this is coming.
Yeah.
But I can't be feeling, you know, I drown in that feeling.
It will grow. It will grow. It will get more often. It will get easier. It's
really,
you know, it just gets easier and better. And it's not that things don't happen to you mentally or emotionally, but you know what to do to get yourself out of that state.
I have applied the law throughout my life without me knowing.
Yeah.
Nice. And with knowing, it is prolonging now.
Good.
But I'm not worried because I'm an achiever. So thank you so much. Just for the feeling state, I had the question. I don't want to prolong this. But I have the book. While you are reading, I'm taking notes and writing out in my book. Thank you.
Yeah. It's interesting because this book isn't probably one of Neville's more known books, but there are so many absolute gems in this book in him describing how to change states. And, you know, I mean, the book is called Your Faith is Your Fortune. So it is, your fortune is believing, your fortune is practicing, your fortune is transforming your not so pleasant circumstances into something more pleasant, and also just to get relief and to feel better on a daily basis, so you're not tortured or hurting or worried or anxious or depressed, whatever it is. You know, it's becoming someone who knows how to direct their mind to then feel more peace. So I'm going to continue. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.
The state of consciousness is necessary for true meditation. This wonderful experience of rising and floating is the signal that you are absent from the body or problem, and you are now present with the Lord. So rising and floating, rising and floating. So you feel a sense of lightness. You feel a sense of you're freeing yourself from those lower emotions. Okay. And in this expanded state, you are not conscious of being anything but I am, I am. You are only conscious of being. When this expansion of consciousness is attained within this formless deep of yourself, give form to the new conception by claiming and feeling yourself to be that which you, before you entered into this state, desired to be. So you sit down, you're aware that you have a desired state, as in something that you want to be, more loved, more free, wealthier, healthier. So you're here with the state is not in you yet, and you think that the state is physically somewhere else. But what you're doing through this process that he's discussing is you are taking your focus off it being over there. You bring the focus within you. You bring your awareness within you. You feel that you feel your emotions of I'm unhealthy, sick, poor, trapped, unloved, whichever one it is. And then you spend your time practicing I am so that you lift off that place of being shackled by your problem, and you get yourself into a new groove. You take yourself out of that problem groove. You get into the freedom groove, the healthy groove, the loved groove, the wealthy groove, the free groove by practicing I am. I think practicing I am and then the word, for me personally, is easier than just doing I am. I know some people love I am on its own. You know, you choose whatever feels better for you. And then you practice it so that your focus becomes the new state, what you're doing in your mind. And then as you practice it, your body starts to rise up and float, as in separate yourself from the problem. So when you practice that, the idea is that you feel better, and then that it starts to shift the external reality so that you see a change. And then you prove to yourself that you can do it, that your outside circumstances are changeable due to your internal change in what you're focused on mentally, and then your emotions will follow. Now, continuing on, when this expansion of consciousness is attained within this formless deep of yourself, give form to the new conception by claiming and feeling yourself to be that which you, before you entered into this state, desired to be. You will find that within this formless deep of yourself, all things appear to be divinely possible. Anything that you sincerely feel yourself to be while in this expanded state becomes in time your natural expression. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. Genesis 1:6. Let there be a firmness or conviction in the midst of this expanded consciousness by knowing and feeling, I am that, the thing desired. I am wealthy, I am free, I am healthy, I am loved, I am love, I am healthy. Whatever it is, you put the word in after I am. As you claim and feel yourself to be the thing desired, you are crystallizing this formless liquid light, that you are into the image and likeness of that which you are conscious of being. So it's like it's this thing that's a formless liquid light, as he calls it, and then it hardens into fact. It crystallizes, it takes shape. And the way it takes shape is by you practicing, as Neville says, the law of assumption. You're assuming something different, and then you stick to it as best you can. Now that the law of your being has been revealed to you, begin this day to change your world by revaluing yourself. Too long has man held to the belief that he is born of sorrow and must work out his salvation by sweat of his brow. God is impersonal and no respecter of persons. So long as man continues to walk in this belief of sorrow, so long will he walk in a world of sorrow and confusion, for the world in its every detail is man's consciousness crystallized. I'm going to read that last bit again. In a world of sorrow and confusion, for the world in its every detail is man's consciousness crystallized. So whatever you've got going on in front of yourself, it has crystallized, taken form because of the thoughts you have about that topic, which is good to know, because if it can work in that direction, it can work equally in the other direction, where it is no longer sorrow, it is joy and fun and feeling secure and feeling free. In the book of Numbers, it is recorded, there were giants in the land, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and we were in their sight as grasshoppers. So if you see yourself as a grasshopper, then the world or other people will see you as one. Not that a grasshopper is a bad thing, but it is used to illustrate that whatever you see yourself as is what gets reflected back to you. Isn't that a great thing? So if I keep seeing myself as unloved, unwanted, poor, trapped, and anxious and depressed, then that will be how others will see me. Today is the day, the eternal now, when conditions of the world have attained the appearance of giants, the unemployed, the armies of the enemy, business, competition, etc., are the giants which make you feel yourself to be a helpless grasshopper. We are told we were first in our own sight helpless grasshoppers, and because of this conception of ourselves, were to the enemy helpless grasshoppers. We can be to others only that which we are to ourselves. Therefore, as we revalue ourselves and begin to feel ourselves to be the giant, the center of power, we automatically change our relationship to the giants. We reduce these former monsters to their true place, making them appear to be the helpless grasshoppers. Paul said of this principle, it is to the Greeks, or the so-called wise men of the world, foolishness, and to the Jews, or those who look for signs, a stumbling block. For the Jews require a sign, and the Greeks seek after wisdom. But we preach Christ crucified, unto the Jews a stumbling block, and unto the Greeks foolishness. But unto them which are called both Jews and Greeks, Christ is the power of God and the wisdom of God. Because the foolishness of God is wiser than men, and the weakness of God is stronger than men. Corinthians 1, 22, 25. With the result that man continues to walk in darkness rather than awaken to the realization, I am the light of the world. Matthew 5:14, John 8:12. Man has so long worshipped the images of his own making that at first he finds this revelation blasphemous. But the day man discovers and accepts this principle as the basis of his life, that day man slays his belief in a God apart from himself. The story of Jesus' betrayal in the Garden of, I always say this wrong, Gethsemane. Apologies if I've pronounced that incorrectly. Is the perfect illustration of man's discovery of this principle. We are told the crowds, armed with staves and lanterns, sought Jesus in the dark of the night. As they inquired about the whereabouts of Jesus' salvation, the voice answered, I am, whereupon the entire crowd fell to the ground. On regaining their composure, they again asked to be shown the hiding place of the Savior, and asked the Savior, and again the Savior said, I have told you that I am. Therefore, if you seek me, let all else go. John 18:8. Man in the darkness of human ignorance sets out on his search for God, aided by the flickering light of human wisdom. As it is revealed to man that his I am, or awareness of being, is his Savior. So it is your awareness of being is your Savior, okay? Your awareness of being poor, your awareness of being sick, your awareness of being unloved, your awareness of being not good enough, your awareness of being second best, your awareness of being anxious or depressed. It is your awareness of being these things that keeps you stuck in these things. So the awareness of the I am healthy, I am free, I am loved, all of these things, when you shift your awareness, that is when you break free, but you have to hold it with persistence. Okay, the shock is so great, he mentally falls to the ground for every belief that he has ever entertained tumbles as he realizes that his consciousness is the one and only Savior, meaning what you are conscious of is your only Savior. The thing that saves you is what you are conscious of. And shifting from the old man to the new man, shifting from poor to wealth and freedom, shifting from sickness to health, shifting from not good enough to being secure. Your shift must begin with what you are conscious of about yourself. The knowledge that his I am is God compels man to let all others go, for he finds it impossible to serve two gods. Man cannot accept his awareness of being as God and at the same time believe in another deity. I love what he said about the two masters, because you can't serve I'm unloved and I'm loved at the same time. You can't serve I am trapped and I am free at the same time. That's the good thing. We can't be in two things simultaneously. With this discovery, man's human ear or hearing, understanding, is cut off by the sword of faith. Peter, as his perfect disciplined hearing, understanding is restored by Jesus, the knowledge that I am is Lord and Savior. Before man can transform his world, he must first lay this foundation of understanding or understanding. I am the Lord and there is none else. Isaiah 45:5. Man must know that his awareness of being is God until this is firmly established, so that no suggestion or argument of others can shake him. He will find himself returning to the slavery of his former belief. If you believe not that I am he, ye shall die of your sins. John 8:24. Unless man discovers that his consciousness is the cause of every expression of his life, he will continue seeking the cause of his confusion in the world of effects, and so shall die in his fruitless search. Now, I've highlighted that and put a star next to it, so it must have been something of importance at the time. So I'm going to read it again because it is a powerful sentence. Unless man discovers that his consciousness is the cause of every expression in his life. So what you're thinking about, what you're conscious of, and what you're playing in your mind repeatedly is the cause of everything you've got going on in your world. He will continue seeking the cause of his confusion in the world of effects, and so shall die in his fruitless search. So once you know that, all the problems start in your mind, in your consciousness, and also all the solutions start there, but you must give your mind something to do and do not let it wander around doing what it wants, because that's when you get into a lot of suffering, trouble, anxiousness, depression, fear, and then you are stuck in that wheel and you can't get off, which is what he says, the fruitless search. I am the vine and ye are the branches. John 15:5. Consciousness is the vine, and that which you are conscious of being is as branches that you feed and keep alive. Just as a branch has no life except to be rooted in the vine, likewise things have no life except you be conscious of them. Just as a branch withers and dies if the sap of the vine ceases to, I've just lost my place, ceases to flow towards it, so do things and qualities pass away. If you take your attention from them, because your attention is the sap of life which sustains the expression of your life. So that's a good example of the tree and the branches. So whatever you've got going on in your life and it keeps growing and it's something you don't want to grow, you've got to let that die off. You've got to stop watering it. I am poor. I am trapped. I hate my boss. I am powerless. I'm not good enough. I'm unloved. I'm unwanted. You must stop doing that in your consciousness and step away and leave those branches to wither and die. And the qualities then, the experiences that you have from having those internal thoughts, belief, and being conscious of that, those external things that cause you so many disturbances, they stop happening when you do not give that any more fertilizer. So it's pulling your attention away from those things, because your attention is what waters the plant that turns into a tree that has branches. So for the branches to wither away, stop watering it. How do you do that? Changing states. How do you change states? And Wendy said it so well, going on a walk, doing affirmations, affirming what you would prefer. Making the effort to train your mind to work for you rather than against you. And this is a lifelong skill. It takes practice, but we've all got today, and that's it. So we practice today, we get up tomorrow, we practice again. And then you let all that go when you're at work, when you're having lunch with a friend, when you're watching a movie, you let it all go and you focus on what you got going on. and you don't pollute all these moments with, I'm not good enough, I don't have enough money, what the heck's happening? You know, you stop doing that. But you can't just say to your mind, stop doing that. If we could, it would be that easy, but it's not that easy. The mind needs something to do unless it's asleep. So you must give it something else. And it is jumping into that something else that is the way to do it. Okay? And that is our practice between these sessions. And you're not playing against anyone. You're just playing against you, and you're doing it a little bit better. So, you know, this is the humbling experience. And it is, Wendy, like you just said, it's you versus you. That's it. There is no, it feels like it's versus them. Boss, mother, sibling, friend, ex-lover, specific person, you know, and on the list goes. But that really is just highlighting to you that there is work to be done within the self, so that that thing that's uncomfortable or not to your liking can die like the branch on the tree if it's not something to your liking. Obviously, if it's something fantastic and you're enjoying it, keep thinking about it, because thinking about things that make you feel good, that make you feel free, that make you feel loved, that make you feel happy, that make you feel successful, that make you feel wonderful, that kind of thinking is good. It is all up here to be done. You are playing the game of life. I mean, Florence wrote a book on that, and I am going to do a free study class on her book next after this one. But you're playing the game against yourself every day. How good am I doing at regulating myself? How good am I doing at not reacting? How good am I at having the possibility of having better thoughts about that thing over there that's been bugging me, and then all of a sudden it evaporates, and then I feel that relief, feel the relief before, then that thing will evaporate. So I'm not going to go into another chapter. We will go into that next Saturday. Please use the same link, and we will go into the chapter Whom Seek Ye, which is chapter 4. And yeah, this is really the discussions that we're having. It's like, okay, let me see if I can apply that this week, the I am, to get into the state, to relax, to let go, to imagine, to then change from I am poor to I am free, or I am unloved to I am loved, or I am insecure and anxious to I am secure. Practice the ones you need to practice from today till next week when we meet again. And let's see if you can just improve it, 20%. Doesn't have to be 100, just a bit. This week, let me rein my mind and give it something else to do, especially on the topic of the thing that's bugging me. And let's see what comes. All right, everybody, I'm going to leave it there. That was some good questions and good discussion about that. Neville always seems to evoke some really interesting conversations, and the whole point is that we apply it to what we're going through. And thank you everyone for joining in, and you can unmute yourself and say goodbye if you would like, and I will see you next week.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
Agnes.
Agnes.
I would love
Thank you,
to. I
yes.
really like to do this every Saturday. I really love it. And I
Good.
would really love doing this because I feel that I can be, to be honest, every time I speak with you, every time I feel a lot better after that. Like, so I think it's helping me mentally and emotionally. So I guess I should just keep doing it.
That's
I
it,
understand.
darling.
I
That's it.
understand. This is recorded, so it goes to YouTube, and this is not a QA, but I'm glad I can have at least a chance to speak about my some things that I got going on with you, and here. I'm glad that. Thank you so much. And
My
God bless
pleasure.
you. Looking forward to see you again next week.
See you next week, Laszlo. See you next week, everyone, if you're here. And if you can't make it, you know, the recording will go up so you can watch it. Lots of love and have a wonderful week.
Goodbye, Agnes.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.